And you want me to give you another
Now somebody
one?
could just Google that and find the answer.
Not going to find it.
Everything can be found.
They're not going to find it.
Okay.
What goes down, but can never come back up.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
You get that questionable look on your face. Go ahead.
So let me give you another one. What part of a man's body have a woman's name? Anyway, it's out there.
Neck. No.
Okay? So something to chew on.
Other than this gum. Okay.
So let's go to some local news here. Maplewood Township Committee introduces changes to post office plan. The Maplewood Township Committee unanimously passed an ordinance on first reading Tuesday to adopt changes to the post office redevelopment plan. The vote followed a presentation by Paul Greigel of Phillips Price Greiger LLC, the planning firm retained by the town. Now that the ordinance has passed the first reading, the plan will go back to the planning board for its input on January the 13th, then come back to the township committee for a second reading and public comment, and final adoption on January 20. Once this happens, the site plan will be reviewed by the planning board and the Maplewood Village Alliance. A lot has changed since July when the plan was initially approved, said Greigel, noting that typical of the redevelopment process. Now, there is one thing in here that I have great difficulties with, Marjorie.
About the post office?
Well, about the structure that they're going to put up. And in the past, we had a discussion about this. And when you are building these structures, in order to get it done, right, you promise the town that you will include affordable housing.
Well, I need you to back up.
It's
up.
kind of a law in New Jersey.
Well, yeah, somewhat, but back up. Where is this post office supposed to be?
No, the post office redevelopment. Remember where the current post office is?
Yes.
They are supposed to be redeveloping that into this new structure where they're going to have retail stores.
In the same spot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. They're going to have retail stores. They're going to have apartments. And they have all different type of things going on in that new structure. Right? And they may have a parking lot too as well. And when you are building these things, you have to set aside affordable housing.
Maybe. Go ahead.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know about that.
It's the law now.
I thought it was, but from what I've been told, it doesn't. There are ways to get around that.
What they used to do is that they used to move. If you're a developer and you're developing an apartment complex in Maplewood, in order to get around it, you can promise that if you're going to build something in another town, that you're going to give them 4 instead of 2.
Right.
As an example. And once you agree on it and the towns agree on it, they normally shift the burden to another town.
Okay.
Right? So what Maplewood did is that the developer is going to pay $100,000 into the Maplewood Affordable Housing and Rehabilitation Program in exchange for the township waiving the requirement to provide 2 units of affordable housing. Greigel said the arrangement allows for more flexibility in how the developer meets the requirement. It makes a lot of sense, he said, noting that the county regulation in the program was still in flux. So here is the problem. And this is why we are asleep at the wheel. You know, if this was reversed, what would have happened?
How would you reverse this? What do you mean?
Say that again?
If it were reversed, in what way?
The other way around.
What do you mean? Like, let's make low-income housing and have 2 high-rent housings? I mean, what do you mean by reversed?
No, if it was, who does affordable housing normally benefit?
Whomever can get into it fast enough.
But who does it normally benefit?
whomever it can get into it fast
You know,
enough.
affordable housing is low income, right?
Yes, and whatever low income person can get into it fast enough. So it could be the developer's cousin's brother's sister's niece who's only making 20 grand. I mean, it's not like, I hope you're not assuming that those should be set aside for minorities who are low income, because anybody who could get into it fast enough. They might have some lottery.
That's what it's supposed to be.
I mean, they could do a lottery for that.
That's exactly what it's for. That's what it's for.
But
That's
that doesn't mean that it's going to be minorities.
They give it this name. They give it this name. They spruce up these names: affordable housing, low income. Plain talk, bad manners.
But they're low income.
However, the point is this. The point is this. This town of Maplewood allows the developer to pay $100,000 into an affordable housing and rehabilitation program, rather than him get 2 apartments for affordable housing. And you know what? And to be honest with you, I'm sure those 2 apartments, 90% of the time, might be a person of color.
I wouldn't guarantee. I wouldn't necessarily bet
90%
on that.
of the time.
Okay. But I wouldn't bet
It
on
is.
that, because you could get a low-income senior in that place that's white.
10%. That's the 10%. That's the 10%.
I mean, sometimes you have to, first of all, know that those kind of opportunities are available. So, and if you're not aware...
anytime you're going to put up a structure, you must have affordable housing.
Someone of low income may not even know that.
I'm going to pull up.
But what we need to know is,
are
these people paying? What's the tax situation? Is this development going to pay taxes?
No, they get an abatement.
Okay, see?
They get an abatement in order for them
called
to...
in lieu of
They're not
taxes.
going to just come into Maplewood and pay all those high taxes. They get an abatement. They give them 10 years at a reduced taxes. They give them all these concessions.
Without taxes?
Right. So, I mean, Maplewood is thinking that that's good for the community, right, to bring these businesses in.
And
right.
redevelop this building.
Yeah, it's redevelopment. It's going to be a boon for Maplewood. And, look at all those things going on in South Orange. You see that
because
big
I think I've asked them, it's like, well, do they have low income? Will they have low income housing? Because I'd like to move into
in
it.
Maplewood.
Like, get out of there. That's not going to happen.
In the one in South Orange, they
In
have
South
low income
Orange.
housing. Yeah, they have. But here is Maplewood. If this was any different, you would have had how much residents we have in Maplewood? About 15 or 16,000.
I don't know. That number's not coming to me. Numbers aren't coming to me.
Okay,
tonight,
but
so.
you have had that where the new police station where they hold these new township committee meetings. That place would have been packed.
I've never been in there before.
Huh?
I've never been in there. That's where the township committee meetings
Yeah, that's
are?
where it is held now. 'Cause I think they were doing some renovations still.
City Hall?
Yeah.
Or Town Hall? Yeah.
So that place would have been packed to capacity if you trying to deny, right, low-income housing people an opportunity to move into Maplewood. Because just think about it. If I'm low income and I move into Maplewood, I move into a two-apartment, two-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And I have a son or a daughter, and then they could get to go to the school system. They can get to go to Columbia. They can get to go to the middle school. It's an improvement as far as education is concerned.
Perhaps. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. Right? So that might be only 2 families now. Just 2. 2. That can make a difference in the lives of their kids. And Maplewood is denying those families that opportunity. Because they're not going to have affordable housing. After I read all this other stuff is of no interest to me. That stuff is of great interest. Now, I don't have a dog in that fight.
That's the new saying for you right now. Having a dog in that fight. That's your new saying.
No, but
you don't have to drop. You can't say that every day.
I don't say that every day.
Yes, you do. You've been saying that every day for two weeks now.
What about dancing around the mulberry bush?
I hate that one. It's really wrong. One, huh? Yeah, it's that cool either. I mean, but at any rate, so you have no vested interest in that. However, you know what? I'm listening to you, and I'm not going to argue about this. But
you don't seem like you have an opinion.
I don't have an opinion because I don't assume that would necessarily be a low-income person of color. I just don't assume that. I think that there are ways to get around it.
I didn't assume it. That's what. If you read the law regarding that,
it doesn't say we're not going to allow
Marjorie
poor black people in here. They're saying we're not going to allow any poor people in.
The reason why it was put in place is because when these people were building these new apartment buildings, they were leaving out people of color. They were not being part of the solution. They were being left out. So this came, stuff I don't know. This came from Monk Laurel. This was something happened in Monk Laurel, right? Where these people, these black folks, they will have building all these new nice housing, and they were getting left out. And they decided that, listen, if you're gonna come build here, you got to set aside X amount of apartments. Well, they used to call it low income.
Right. I understand. I know about this whole. Well, not. I don't know. But I understand. I understand this idea, the concept. I know that the concept exists. So when I see an apartment building going up, I'm like, how many of those will be set aside for low income people? But I don't necessarily equate low income, especially in this community, low income, with brown, black, minority people. I mean, but that may be the case.
Well,
I'm not looking, and I don't have a dog in that fight either.
You like that? I know you like that.
The dog in the mulberry bush. I don't have, or mulberry bush.
Don't dance around the mulberry bush.
It's M-U-L,
mulberry bush.
Yeah. Do you know what that is? Do you know what a mulberry bush
I noticed something about you. You always try to make fun of my accent.
It's not an accent. You're not saying the word right.
That's how we pronounce it in Trinidad.
Oh, and you always try to you try to put off every mistake you make on Trinidad.
It's not a mistake.
So if you sneezed,
accent.
You would say, "Oh, that's the way we sneeze in Trinidad." You can't do that.
You see, when people compliment you, you speak, you get upset.
I was just at Coda with a friend of mine, someone who was an ex-principal at one of these schools in East Orange. She's a retired person, and we were talking about that whole thing. And she's like, "Damn, I hate that." Somebody calling me articulate. That bothers me.
Was that Stephen?
No, it's his sister.
Okay. So he called you articulate?
No, she said she hates when people say that to her, too. So it's not, just me who recognizes that as a problem.
I don't have that problem.
Yes. And it's because you're from Trinidad, right? Anyway. Oh, my God. You know what? I thought about that earlier today. I was working.
That one never said to me, Anselm,
God, wow. So articulate.
You are so articulate, man. There's something different about you, So
anyway, Anselm.
So there was a power outrage in Maplewood. Huh?
Outrage or outage?
We saying outrage in Trinidad.
No. Oh man, it just made me
There's a power outage in Maplewood. Tongue opens woman center at D-Hart.
I wonder if people went. How long did you get a flicker?
No.
I did for 1 minute.
When was it?
Last night around this time. It was around 8 something, and I know it was at home.
You know what?
And it went out dark, and then everything came back on.
You know what? That was why the internet was giving problems. Last night,
but you didn't get no darkness for not even a second.
No darkness, but all of a sudden, the internet became stuck last night for like a few minutes, and then it brewed back up again, and then it became stuck.
I wonder if that's why I didn't have any heat last night.
No,
but that wouldn't make sense. I woke up this morning, and the heat was off. I'm like, why is it so cold? It was 59 degrees in the house. I was like, what's that all about? But then the button was moved to the middle rather than on heat. So I'm like, But that couldn't have happened that way.